everyone. My name is Yang. If you don't know me already, I'm running 96Boards within Inara. So I'm gonna run through this very quick today. I want to leave enough time for questions and you have in the end. So yeah. The title of this presentation is called Status Quo as well as and the Future of 96Boards. It's a very big topic, right? I don't intend to cover it all. I will try. So about a year ago, when we first started 96Board initiative, one of the questions I got asked a lot, well, actually not a lot, every time when someone came to me is, why do you guys do this at all? There's tons of SBC out there. I mean, are you guys mad to reinvent the wheel, right? And of course, at that point, we only got one board. And we have the designer sitting in the house today, which is Lawrence King, and from Qualcomm. So after about 12 months down the line where we are now, and after all the hard work has gone through it with 96Boards, so unfortunately, these people are right. We are mad, and just a slightly different way, because today we are seeing the number of, the level of participation and the number of the community partners and the number of SOCs has been enabled on 96Boards. I think it's phenomenal. So I'm gonna actually quickly take you through a short evolving journey on what we think 96Board is today and what we think it should go next. And I'll actually also be making some announcements in terms of new boards coming up. Obviously, some of them already been ruined by George in his keynote today, because he always wins the argument, right? So we were talking about whose slide to put. He won, of course. So, but there's some more boards which we will talk about in detail today. So, what's 96Boards? You should probably see these bullet points in the slide deck we'll be presenting from day one. And slightly correction on the English side, obviously, my bad. But those should stay the same. So it is a recognized 96 ARMv7-8 open specification. I think that is a fair statement today. If we can't say that 12 months ago, I think it's a fair statement today. It is the only SOC independent specification which we have created with the contribution and the cooperation with members. It is a low-cost, rapid prototyping product development platform. I'm going to actually spend a lot of time on this point later on. And it's been tailored for different segment requirements. So all good stuff, but what do we actually mean by that? What do we actually mean by that? So does this look familiar for any of you who have been working on the product side, who want to actually design something which you think are pretty cool, to implement application ideas you have, and you want to bring out actually in product and be able to sell it? So this is actually, I was thinking about how to create these slides. Then what I did, I just quickly searched SBC in Google. This is what came up with the first page of many. So which one do you choose? We're talking about, if you are an application developer, you are a product designer, you want to build a product, you want to be able to differentiate in areas where you are good at. What do you do, right? So the question actually normally is for what we understood is unanswered. The reason is because to be able to evaluate multiple different SOCs, to be able to evaluate even multiple SOCs on the same production roadmap is impossible even. The evaluation cost is so high, is to a point of being prohibitive for a production designer to be able to even considering changing platform. So it's very much, you saw a lot of products were very SOC dependent, which is actually not necessarily a bad thing, but it does not enable them to differentiate themselves in area where they are good at. In fact, in the long term, we would argue it's not a healthy situation for the SOC vendor either. So I stole a line from Barry Schwartz, and in the book I like it very much personally. It's a paradox of choice. So choosing well is especially difficult for those who determine owning the best, which unfortunately many of us fall into that category, I would say. So we said 96 board was about SoC independence. And one of the things which we are seeing today is all these boards you can see here are public available. They are from all sorts of different SoC vendors. And in fact, it's cross Cortex-M, Cortex-A, and which we will see more today in the new boards I'll be announcing. So 96 board starting from a specification or set of specification. So this was a landscape which we set out to do 12 months ago. And I'm happy to report that at this point, we have specification landscape created for both consumer edition, enterprise edition, as well as the Georgia announced publication of the IoT edition, which is available on 96board.org website. Also, we have 96board TV platform addendum on top of our enterprise supporting the digital home and STB market. There is a specification, 96board network edition is in the work. The one of the things which I will mention later, that is one of the most exciting areas actually we see in the next phase of development, and a multi-tier of networking edition of the device. So a lot of boards. Now, what we believe there is a beauty in singularity, not in the sense of single SoC, a single board, but in the sense where we can find a common ground across different ARM-based SoCs. We can find a common ground across different solutions. And that's what we believe 96 board comes in. That's the singularity we're looking at. We believe having that singularity is actually to be able to foster competition, healthy competition, and in areas where it matters, in the SoC differentiation, in actual application level differentiation. So mezzanines, right? So we have the boards, and the main board, we have the powerful latest and greatest SoC technology in some of the most horrifying video I've been taken this morning. We talk about the new boards, but we are looking at a single community for all the boards, all the specs we have been working on. So we're trying to create a single community with sharing solutions across different boards. There's some very good example here. Some of the mezzanines developed by one of our partners, which were designed according to one 96 board specifically in mind. We brought it to LAS Connect and plugged into another complete different SoC vendors 96 board. And you know what, it just worked. It just worked. To us, that obviously is a very, very nice message. You're saying we believe the feasibility of creating that single community is good. It's good for us all. And of course, single community is not just about creating the extension board to materialize the application ideas you have. It's also about the software. Of course, it's about software. I think most of us here have software engineering backgrounds. So these are a capture of what currently, to our knowledge, in terms of operation system, has been already supported on 96 board. And I can pretty sure to say that's a lot more I haven't captured. It crosses a lot of different application domain. I think this list just get growing far and bigger when time goes. The key thing remember here is we didn't do this voluntarily. Some of you actually who designed the board, who are the owner of the manufacturer of the board, knows those doesn't come from you. The community did this for you. You get your boards out. Someone down the line you didn't even know just tell you, hey, you know what? I've got this ported on your boards. Do you want to give it a try? I mean, that's the thing we were looking at is we believe the cross-pollination, we believe actually the community has a capacity and capability, a willingness to help to develop the solution which you otherwise will be quite, in terms of cost, in terms of time frame, in terms of your ever-growing to-do list on your organization chart. So we believe this is actually a very, very nice and neat way of getting your SoC technology accessible to those who otherwise couldn't. I don't think we have ever shown this slides previously because we couldn't, because we didn't had to. And 2 months ago, now we have a list. So we have a lot of new members who has joined 96Boards committee. What was noting is every single one of them has been very actively in terms of enable their SOC out in different 96Boards. And also, we believe that to have a healthy program, we need to be able to have a healthy steering committee and also partnership. So that's why we also have been making a very big push in terms of establishing the trustworthy and you know, the partners will be able to provide that service to our SOC vendors. So here are the complete, actually, we have a new one just been signed up yesterday, but these are the latest, the list of partners we have yet today. Look at, we're talking about community engagement. Don't forget, 96Boards was only launched about a year and a half ago, the first specification. And we actually really, if you look at the starting point to what we are now, I think the growth, it is quite clear. It has one of the things we see is we did have a bumpy starting point from where we have the design in terms of getting the board to the designer's hand. But I think we have now getting better and better at that. And one of the interesting things, if you're actually looking at the data, which you will also have access to the slide later, you will see the regional adoption and across the time frame, where actually which region has adopted the 96Board and how the traffic grows in different regions is very interesting. We are seeing region outside US, which was the biggest, and starting to pick up significantly. So I'd like to actually just spend a couple seconds on this. So we have, for those who doesn't know, we have a 96Board open house, and which is a real-time online session where everyone can get access to. Many of them, or many of you probably already have, all your questions, technical questions, supply questions, module questions get answered by people from 96Board team, and also other teams, of course, Linara, who are the audience and user of 96Board, as well as the partners. And actually, Lawrence King himself has been presenting a couple of sessions, which we're quite thankful to. So please feel free, help us spread the message. If you could get your questions on, I hope that most of the questions you will get answered in that forum. And yes, so that's actually something we are doing committed every week, right? Every Thursday afternoon at UK time. Okay, so remember for the 10-15 minutes. Now, what's new? As I said, some of them already been spoiled. I can't help. But for those who hasn't been spoiled, now this one, some of you probably know, this is actually first 96Board CE extended board done by Arrow in conjunction with Info chip. Well, it's a Qualcomm, using Qualcomm chip. So Snapdragon 600. I'm not going to raise the spec because, quite honestly, I'm sick of all the spec because so many boards. And just so many boards, really. But one of the important things to notice is that if you look at very close of those boards, we are seeing the board, between board to board, there's a lot of differentiation starting to come up. And it's very interesting because from those differentiation, you can kind of see where this board can go, where it's going to go. So those areas are actually very, very interesting. That's what we want to see too when the spec was created in the beginning, because the spec has never been, was never intended to be limitation and the constraint. It's all about actually doing what everybody has to do, but let everybody else start in the competing in the areas that really matters. So that's actually the board, which is the first actually 32-bit 96Board CE extended board. And today we're also announcing the first first 96Board from ST Micro. Well, in fact, this doesn't count because George has announced the Carbon, which kind of spoiled this one as well. But this is ST from the ST Micro 96Board CE extended board too. And one of the interesting about this board is this is, after high key, this is the second board which has specific target for 96-board consumer reference platform and qualified hardware, which means everything about this board will be upstream from day one, which we know will be quite welcome in certain parts of the community. So it's got SATA connector, it has gigabit interface. This board samples has already been sampled, I believe, and we should be able to see this board in the areas where the SoC vendor has interest in very soon. This board, of course, not stranger to many of us, and I believe we have a dedicated session tomorrow from MediaTek to talk about this board in detail. But we are very excited about this board from MediaTek. As I said, we keep repeating ourselves that it's a deca-core ARM Cortex-A64, and with a good, very good Mali and A80 GPU. One thing what I like to, of course, that's one thing which George didn't mention in his slides. They actually got crypto extension enabled too, which we know is very, quite a lot of communities quite interesting, especially those one working in security. What interesting would I ask everybody look out for is not about the main board itself, right? It's actually what will come with it, and of course I'm not going to spoil what Ultramind MTK has in mind, but what I would say is we think this board has a really, really interesting use case, and some of them which are through design different solutions, different modelings, and so I think this is a really, really powerful board and that has a very, very good development path to become a really fast prototyping product development platform. This one's totally spoiled, and ST's Carbon first 96-board IoT boards. This is actually our design in conjunction with our manufacturer partner Seat. So we have been working intensely, including the last demo, which George has demonstrated earlier. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we already spent enough. You can get a board if you haven't already done so today. We hope that will be generating some very interesting development or discussion among us. So this is first 96-board IoT, but by no means the last, because there is actually another 96-board which I will not announce today, but it should be you should be able to find it very soon. We'll actually see more and more designs. Obviously, the next being spoiled one, less than $10 Cortex-A 96-board IoT would be actually a perfect fit for the entry-level gateway device. Some of you will probably hear more about this board later this week. So this one is obviously from Orange Pi and the people behind Orange Pi. So this board I have demoed it with a very poor performance in terms of playing the game, and this morning. So we don't want to spend extra time. This also we announced M-Star's Kava 96 boards, and yeah, I think one of the points which Mark Goski already mentioned is you can see the differentiation on this board as well. Really, really looking at what is applicable, what is important for that segment, for the STB market. And this board obviously got M-Star's very good capability in terms of OTA, the streaming and full content behind it. We believe this board can be very exciting in that field as well as popular. So I run through some of the new boards which you have seen. So what's next? I told you already that some of you already, there are 30 plus boards, including the ones we announced already in the work, and some of them will arrive very soon. So we are seeing all these different type of SoCs being enabled in a 96-board form factor. What we think next would happen is we're going to make good use of these boards. We're going to help the community, help you, help SoC and help our partners to achieve what you have set up to do in this program. So, of course, more boards. So those two boards, some of you probably have already seen in different conventions. What is interesting about those two boards, obviously, that's first one is Atira, slightly twisted there because it's part of a really Intel, right? So we were supposed just about ARM, but it's nevertheless very interesting, very powerful SoC, and the use case of this board is actually particularly interesting in the security side. If you look at the carrier of this board, is is a company called Secure RF in conjunction with Arrow. And the next one, which NXP features NXP IMX7 96 board, was, of course, this board was announced a year ago. And I think the final resolved the issues which preventing it coming to the mass market, so it should be available very soon. So this is also the typical spec, or the drawing we had in the spec, and how easy it is actually creating a 96 board from that spec, if my animation actually works. You might be familiar, but that's the best picture I can find in terms of straight. So it's very easy, really. We've seen the farthest design of the board, see from the concept is to actually the board come out to hand is 2 months time. From the point where we're starting to talk and to actually the board will get. So it's very easy to enable SoC on 96 board. And why does it really matter? I think for the reason we just explained. So we are today now. We have a 3 base specification we completed, and IoT specification, consumer specification, and enterprise. So wouldn't it be nice? In the first picture I showed you, if you remember, we have so many boards you have so many boards to choose from, all different way, different focus. Most of them are appropriate. So wouldn't it be nice to have a board which enable the latest and greatest SoC technology? And wouldn't it be nice to have a path to productization? I know people keep bringing up the topic in terms of 96 board comparison in terms of Raspberry Pi, although I keep the same answer saying, it was never the intention. It has never been our goal to compete with Raspberry Pi because it was not a competition. It has different market needs. 96 board is not there to replace Raspberry Pi, and it was not the intention. It still is not today. But look at what you could do. You can develop very cool stuff. They are very cool stuff with Raspberry Pi, but there is no productization path. You cannot build a product with a chip which use on Raspberry Pi. What you can do is buy a Raspberry Pi and slot it in. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just saying there's no path for you to actually utilize the chip in the way which you want. So that's actually quite key, and would it be nice for a developer point of view to have an awesome user experience? I mean, that's something which you will see we would like to get better at. And wouldn't it be nice to have a generic platform which enable rapid platform development? We're talking about, so we see one of the trends which in this market is that the time to market really has put a lot of pressure in terms of the design house or the product designer choosing, evaluate the product you want, the platform you want to use. And because of that pressure, and conflicting with the factor I just mentioned, the cost of evaluation is so high. That put us really in a dilemma. I think which 96 board offer actually a pretty good answer there is a platform which allows you to be able to evaluate a platform in a way which is generic, because all those boards has the same interface at the generic level where you can you can evaluate your product design prototype very quick. Yeah, I mentioned this before. We would like to standardize where everybody has to reinvent. And of course, this is quite important. I believe that's the reason why many of the SoC vendors participate in the program is be able to take advantage of Linaro and its members' collaborative engineering output. I think we are seeing that very clearly and in the LHG case this morning. So low cost, obviously, what I would say is before 96 board came about, there is, I think it's probably safe to say there's no alternative for low-cost ARM V8 platform. It's just none. You got 2 choices. You either buy ARM Juno, which is a great platform, but expensive and hard to get, or do your own thing, which always has been considered to be quite expensive. And so, of course, wide distribution OS support, because as I said, we believe it should be OS agnostic for a good platform. You shouldn't be limited in terms of the choice of operating system. They should fit in area where it really matters in terms of application is need. So last but not least, the upstream support. As I said, in the next slide you will see we are going to split 96 boards, which is one of the major changes I want to mention today, is two different groups. One group is community boards, where we are not going to stress too much in terms of the upstream requirement, which we believe is actually more focused on the productization and would help. And the second group is those ones who would really benefit from always close to tip and mainline upstream focus. So I did say that the future about 96 boards. That's a lot of things we want to do, and there's a lot of things we think we could do. In fact, that we think we can do everything really, but there's only certain things we can cover. But we would like to be able to cover these grounds. First of all, we would like to improve the cross-board, out-of-box user experience. That means working with our partners and members to be able to identify the area where we think for any board to carry 96 board brand's logo, they have the same or similar out-of-box user experience. Because let's face it, in this market, very crowded market, we don't necessarily always have the patience to go jumping a lot of hoops to be able to get some basic stuff working. And we believe actually have the best user experience really help people to get their hands on for those ones who not necessarily a kernel hacker to be able to make the best use of the boards they have. So those are the areas that we have identified. Usability absolutely key. And documentation, we already are making a big push on that. We would like to have the basic level universal I/O support. You have the same experience across all 96 boards. And we would want tutorials, a lot of them, which you actually will see some of the very exciting and works from our partners shortly later. So showcase project. When you go on the Raspberry Pi website, as I said, we don't consider them competitors, but we do pick their brains and learn the lessons they have learned. So we are looking at some of the showcase projects where we can maximize people's imagination in using 96 boards, because 96 boards, for a lot of 96 boards, we are using the latest, greatest SoC. We're not using the SoC from 10 years ago, right? We're using SoC which was launched 3 months ago. And in fact, very shortly, you will see another extreme case. We're using SoC launched yesterday, yesterday. So it will be launched on 96 board. So, so these are the areas which we would like to participation, and we are working very hard on. In fact, you will see some of this already today, because they are not just slogans, they are actually happening. Actually, we will show one of the examples later today from our partner from UC Robotics. Where's UC Robotics? Oh, this there, okay. Okay, so automotive, robotics and drones, and you will see those on Demo Friday as well. So virtual reality, I think there's a lot of applications already being developed, and some of them in the work. Artificial intelligence. We'll talk about it later when we get time to the demo from UC Robotics. So people ask what's next, because actually, I started this presentation saying, the question I got asked a lot 12 months ago is, why do we do this at all? And today I got asked a question most actually today is, hey, what do we do next? What do you think we should do next? So this is our view, and we would certainly like your input. I said, we'd like to hear from you. But so this is our view. We think by splitting these two different groups, by no means saying which one is more important than the other, just have different focus. First group is community 96 board, where we support and hosting vendor-built software and follows from 96 board hardware specification compliance requirements and documentation compliance, because that's how everybody else be able to use your board. And also second group is 96 Linaro reference platform certified 96 boards, where the board will become a reference hardware platform used by other engineering group, core engineering segment group, or engineering groups within Linaro. In fact, for many of you who have, who probably have noticed, in this morning's George's keynote, just about every demo is on 96 board. and some of them on the, of course, the certified 96-board hardware platform. So on that group, we would really like to be upstream focused and to be able to create near mainlines experience, because those are important for the critical Linaro collaborative engineering work, for you to actually be able to benefit Linaro's engineering output. Well, I mean, I think there is certainly need for clarify exactly what that means. If you're going on 96Boards website, you will find that we have specific requirements or recommendations on firmware and bootloader, on bootloader and kernel. Those actually are the main area. We're not asking you to open up 100% everything for those ones you don't have actually obligation to open. But we do suggest in the bootloader and the kernel, well, the differentiation doesn't make any sense, or it makes sense for you, but it does not make sense to create a single community by forced competition, because those are the areas where we do not believe adding much value. So other than that, we do not have any stingy requirements in other, including firmware or ISP or in graphics stuff. So I think that's to clarify that, and we would like to be able to bring out, actually, no. So we are working with multiple partners at this point to bring out the first, by no means the only 96-board networking platform. As I said, we understood this market actually will be one of the most exciting pieces for ARM to penetrate. And 96-board networking platform is at draft stage. So it has been reviewed by the 96-board steering committee as well as Linaro Networking Group, LNG. So we're talking about with multiple SoC vendors. We're looking at low-end, middle layer, and enterprise-grade networking platform. So if any of you today are interested in engaging with us, and either your SoC vendor or manufacturer partners, and please come and talk to us. We'd like to work with you. As I said, we have a couple of already in the work. So hopefully, my next Connect, we're going to see some interesting announcement here. Now, better exposure to wider community. That's quite easy to say, actually harder to do, because we are seeing a lot of 96 boards being designed, being manufactured, but one of the errors we noticed is actually we are not necessarily great in terms of distribution, right? It is actually, we have to jump a lot of hoops to actually get the board to the developer's hand. And because by nature, we are target a global audience, I mean, that's something which we really like to work on. So if any of you I know some of you here are coming from distribution channel, because I saw your name, basically. So if you're interested in the program, come talk to us, and we would like to engage. So we are engaging with some of the higher education institutions, and one of the partners in particular has done that very well here, obviously, is Dragon Board. We're going to keep doing that. So we're working with we would like to work with more manufacturers for diversified design. As I said, specification is a starting point. By no means want to limit and constrain the capability of SoCs you want to offer, you want to market. We encourage that differentiation. That's what matters. We want to encourage you to focus your energy in differentiating those areas where it really matters. But don't repeat doing everything else, the same thing everybody else has to do, probably pretty much in the same way. Encourage mezzanine development and cross-adoption. I just want to give you an example that a couple of mezzanines we did ourselves, just get things started. And in the period of last year, for the small UR board or sensor board, for example, we're shipping about 500 per mezzanine design without any effort in terms of promotion or marketing, etc. We just did it, put on a website, and whoever has need, so that's the quantity you're looking at for those ones who are just about to start or want to start working with. I'll give you a good example. I think with a bit of push for those more interested mezzanines, this gives you an idea what kind of income you probably will bring in. One thing I would say is, with the explosion probably is a bit too much, but with the very, very quick ramping up of the number of board you have, because if you follow through the standard interface or specification we push for, your board, your mezzanine design should just work across with others. In that case, is in terms of times of the possibly your mezzanine can ship. The reason why we keep saying this is mezzanine obviously is not 96board itself, but we believe be able to really prepare for that product-oriented design, product-oriented applications. Mezzanine is one of the key things to get there. It's your arms to actually reach out to actually get the final product out. So there's a clear demand from the mezzanine, from target audience of the boards. We already know there's a clear request from some of you sitting today. Multiple SoC vendors have clear needs and have actually clear target design mezzanines are in the work. So we will be kicking off a 96board partner program, which is targeted at a small or startup phase and startup phase makers and manufacturing parts. So we already have the first one who has made arrangements, so you should be able to see that. So we are kicking off that program, which is helping to get this part of a community kick off. So those are the things which we want to do and we want to be better at. And of course, everything else which you consider important and willing to help. I think what I keep saying is 96board is not about what Linara wants to do, what 96board team wants to do. It's about how to help you to achieve what you want to go. And we might have our view of how things should be developed, how well we should put our effort in, but it's your voice that counts, right? It's your voice, where you want to go, how we can help, that counts. But to be able to have a platform, a generic platform, deliver the latest and greatest SoCs to the developer hands, which enable rapid product development and prototyping, to expand your new revenue of stream for the SoC vendor, or to give you opportunity to design more mezzanines for the manufacturer design house, whatever that might be. We are here to help and hopefully this program will be able to bring what you want to achieve. So that's the end of my presentation, and I won't have the time to showcase the robot on the user robotics representative Hightower's desk, but the robot will be in the 96board hacking room, and what is Mercy, is it? The room name? So just a quick word on that. So that's the first ported Google's TensorFlow deep learning platform onto 96board. In fact, the bubblegum in this case, Action Samis chips with the Imagination GPU. So very interesting, impressive demo. Please go and take a look and have a chat with Hightower to see what you can find. It's also including the voice recognition, of course. But so that is the first implementation and porting we know to Arch64. So that's the end of my presentation. As I said, I will try to leave enough time for questions. Now the floor is open for questions. We've got 10 minutes. Thank you.
This is a Rapiro robot, and we have the control interface. And inside the Rapiro head, we will deploy the Bubblegum 96 board. And we ported TensorFlow of the Google's deep learning infrastructure into this robot. And this is the first port of the ARM64. So it can be used to identify the different object. If you put it here, it will recognize about. I mean, we use already trained the model so that can recognize about 1,000 different objects. And we're also using a text-to-speech engine that to speak what is the object. Sorry, probably the battery is not running very well, so. Maybe we can. We currently done most of the demonstration at the 96 hacking room. So just give us maybe 15 minutes to recharge the battery, and we can give the more demonstrate there. Thank you.
Thanks, Haitang. So, any questions? Right. Okay. So 99 boards.
Is there any dates or plans or?
Yes. So 999. I mean, this is like one of these mattress king, the big yellow things. 999.
When can I buy it?
So we should be able to get the board to order be ready to sell, within this year. So that's for sure. The question is which months. What's interesting about this board is one of the things which if you notice from 96-board IoT specification is Linaro is not only looking at Cortex-A or Cortex-M on IoT. We are looking across a spectrum from Cortex-M on A. So that's already incorporated in the hardware specification. And later this week, one of the initiatives driven by our Octo office, David Russell himself, is looking at gateway specifically. This is a very interesting area and a gap which we think there is clearly. Well, the target of this board is to be able to actually provide a vehicle to actually allow us to explore that space. So I can't give you too much detail at this stage because the board is not yet ready to sell, and some of the work software-wise we are still in the cook. But I would say from the pricing point and from the capability of this board and from the target usage of the board, it's going to be a very interesting platform. And of course, the fact of the matter is that Orange Pi are those people who who were competing with Raspberry Pi, and they got this Orange Pi Zero. The fact for them to join 96Board and be able to produce this board so quickly is clearly a sign of confidence or benefit of doubt for them. I think it's going to be a very interesting use case in this board, but I can't go into too much detail in terms of the software capability on the board will be. Yes.
Is there any reason why they didn't use the already defined Linaro 30-pin connectors?
Yeah, so that is definitely, we have discussed that when the board, before the design was finalized. I think the answer is there's a limitation on the SOC side, which does not make sense to have the pin, that connector there, which that actually cannot be supported. So that's really the main reason. So that's why this 24-pin was used, which does not follow the CE specification, the addendum of CE specification of the camera spec.
So another question about this one. Who's working on the upstream part? Like, can I review the code somewhere?
For the Orange Pi board?
Yes.
Okay. So the board, our current understanding is that when board is available, will be delivered with a vendor build, which will be Ubuntu. And
so could you delay the delivery of the board for maybe 6 months after the code is out?
sorry, can you repeat that question again?
It would be nice to have the code out 6 months before delivering the hardware. Could you just delay delivering the hardware maybe that much?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously in the previous slides, what we said actually, we are going to target it, split into two different group of boards. One is a community board, where we do not have the requirement of being fully upstream.
Right, but for this one doesn't make sense, right? This one would have to be upstream.
Yeah, that's what I said. So for this board, at this point in time, we only know the plan of providing a vendor build. So we are still in discussion in terms of what upstream plan will looks like, but I don't have the full detail to share with you yet, and how that time frame is going to look at, whether there is a plan to fully upstream board.
Okay, so there's no data sheet or source code for that chip yet?
Sorry?
There's no data sheet for the chip yet and no source code?
I think this chip itself is not new, but I don't believe it's being fully upstream, no.
There's nothing upstream about that chip. I was just wondering if it's why can't we just look at the source code now?
Because as I said, it's a vendor vendor build, or as the point we understood, does not including all the source code, the fully source code they want to.
I'm talking about Linux here, and I just mean the kernel. Just why not just send the source code out now?
It is actually a vendor decision. I mean,
no, but they at what? Yeah. If the chip isn't new, doesn't anybody have the source code yet?
Of course they have. I mean, of course people. I mean, also in this case, the SOC vendor is RDA, right? But in this case, the party who has engaged with us building the board is manufacturer partner. So these people actually taking the initiative, doing the design. I really can't answer in terms of the intention whether it wants to become a fully certified hardware or not. If it is the case,
I'm not talking about certified. I'm just wondering, like, who has the source code and why don't we have that yet?
or at the moment the vendor has, the vendor of the board, Orange Pi has. But how and
well, then
what
just
the software
ask them to give it to us. That can't be that hard. I mean, it's GPL. Just
No, yeah, I mean, so the kernel source code we know it is going to be published. What I'm talking about is whether there will be a fully upstreamed board support for that platform.
Yang, could you just ask them to give us the software?
Yeah, so as I said, I mean, as I said, I answered the question to Ricardo earlier, we are in discussion with the vendor, but I don't have the conclusion. Yeah, so we don't have the conclusion, so I can't categorically commit on their behalf. I mean, that's basically the reality of it. But thanks for the question. It is a question where, I mean, we are, as I said, we are discussing the software plan, but we don't have the commitment or the answer yet. When we have, we will definitely share with everybody. So the short answer is we don't know yet. So that we have some ideas of what we want to work on and what we want to implement when the board becomes available. But it's really too early stage.
Okay, but that sort of contradicts it. When the board becomes available, what are you? So you're going to specify it after a board becomes available?
No, I mean this is all the. So we just launched a light group this morning, today, right? And that's a certain area of focus we have been working on in conjunction with the light group. This gateway, what will be going to gateways, our IoT group's gateway, RPB, is really still in a very early stage of design. So we are looking at it. As I said, later this week, David and we will have a discussion, detailed discussion on that. But at this point, I literally have nothing to can share at the point what will go into that gateway design in terms of software work.
And just a follow-up, what is the current status of the enterprise boards?
All right, thanks for asking that question. So obviously that we did anticipate that because we have, so Cello board was announced early this year in Connect, which carries AMD board, AMD SoC. Everything is ready for production, and the pre-order window is open. We hit a roadblock in terms of one particularly part of the board functionality is, it's not working. And currently, the board is in AMD's hands, being debugged as we speak. We do expect to be able to resolve that issue with the SoC vendor very shortly, and certainly, in terms of weeks' time. But at the moment, that functionality has to be working before the board can ship. Basically, it has to be working on that particularly part. So, and we are, as Linaro, we are working, debugging that in conjunction with the board manufacturer and AMD. But at the moment, yeah, it's been debugged in AMD, test house as we speak. So that's the true status of that board. But in the meantime, I should highlight that there are other engagement with other SoCs as well, enterprise side. So I think we've got time for the last question. guess that's a no. So thank you everyone for attending. So yeah, if you want to talk, you can find me in the corridor. Thank you.